Lions, Rams can't get here soon enough. And with that being said, Craig, I just there's been so much talk about Stafford and rightfully so, right? Stafford and Goff and the whole thing. But outside of that, there's so many storylines as well. What's kind of a key factor that you're looking for in this game tomorrow or in the game Sunday night? What's something that you're looking for that maybe just isn't getting talked about enough?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's not getting talked about enough. No, okay, then I'll go there. If you want to specifically not talked about enough, I would say I think the question is, are we going to get pressure on Matt Stafford? And here's the reason I say it. Matt Stafford's a gunslinger. We all know that about him. One thing about him, and now he's played a lot of years in the NFL, but he has 30 pick sixes against him. So he's got 30 different times in his career he's thrown a pick six, and I would love, and I mean love, to make that number 31 this week. So I think the best way to do that is to get a little bit of pressure on him. His body's not quite as spry as it used to be. So and he doesn't seem to be shying away from contact, but I would love to get him on his back foot, throwing one, trying to throw it into coverage. And I would love to have one that was like the Chiefs, or a Branch has done it twice, a pick where it's off and then we're good. It's tipped by the receiver and then he's got a pick. Let's go.
And you nailed it. I was thinking about that, like Brian Branch and CJ Gardner-Johnson, two players that we forget about them almost. And Branch is elite. I mean, the guy is great at the nickel. And we've got CJ Gardner-Johnson coming back. Really, last week he kind of dabbled with it, but the guy. So our secondary, I know we're concerned about our secondary, but I feel much better, and I know we've got ways to go with just how we feel about the secondary. But you and I made a great point, or you made a great point these last couple weeks. Dallas Cowboys. Oh, we're getting toasted. Our second, it's like, wow, we gave up 20 points. We gave up 20 points and to a team that averages 40 a game at home. Next game, oh, we're getting toasted again by Jefferson. It's like, well, okay, number one, he's the best receiver in the league. But number two, 4 turnovers would give up 20 points again or whatever. So
yeah,
I think that our secondary isn't as bad as people think. And I'm with you, man. This crowd's going to be so nuts that all it is going to take is one mistake. We got to get that one mistake. An interception would be enough, but like a pick six, are you kidding me? The roof coming off, man, if that happens.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, I mean, obviously that place is going to go nuts. That's the game right there, probably. The secondary is interesting because, like you said, we're giving up big plays. CeeDee Lamb goes off against Dallas, Jefferson against Minnesota. But here's the thing. We've been yelling all year for Aaron Glenn to dial up blitzes. Well, when you dial up blitzes, you make big plays, but you're more susceptible to give up big plays too if you don't get home. Because instead of sitting 7 or 8 guys in the back end, or even 6, you're sitting 4 or 5, right? So naturally, you're going to be giving up a few big plays, but the amount of points haven't been that crazy. Yeah. That's the thing that I love, is the amount of points haven't been crazy, exactly like what you're saying. I don't know if the secondary is necessarily better, but I think the secondary is extremely better when Ifeatu Melifonu's in the game. And CJ Gardner-Johnson, as long as he's not blowing assignments, which he did a few in Minnesota. So I think we could be better, and I would like to see CJ Gardner-Johnson and Melifonu in the back end together at least 50% of the time, if I can be honest.
Yeah, and here's the thing we got to remember too, and one thing we're kind of all forgetting about is Aiden Hutchinson admitted he went on the St. Brown podcast, and he admitted for like 6 weeks his leg wasn't right from that hit he took early in the season from the Carolina Panthers. And if you've noticed
on that interception, right?
Yeah. Yep. And in the Dallas game and in this last game, I mean, he is fresh, spin move, played in every game. I mean, if he's fresh and we're getting just enough of pressure. And I mean, he really is one of those top premier pass rushers when he's healthy and feeling good. And there was a literal 6-week stretch there. Remember when we were all like, where's the pressure? Where's the pressure? And that's when we wanted to draft somebody. Well, the pressure's, I feel good about it. And I think we can get home. So that's That's huge. I mean, you said it right from the jump. I mean, but that's where the pressure is going to come from. We need our stars to be stars.
Yeah. And having Aleem McNeil back when you're talking about
Ooh,
pressure is huge, right? Because
another
if
one we
he
forgetting
can,
about. Yep.
yeah, if he can generate pressure up the middle, I think about when this whole thing turned around for the Detroit Lions, and it was against, I mean, it was already starting to turn around, but like this was the stamp. Remember when we went to New York and just put it to the Giants last year?
Yep.
And Aleem McNeil just went off. Like if he can have one of those games, because the LA Rams offensive line is not bad. It's not good either. So the thing is like, okay, so if they don't let Hutch beat them, first off, Hutch makes something happen, right? But
Yep.
can McNeil then get the pressure and take care of business as well? Because you can't
Dude,
double team everyone.
exactly. Great point. Another guy we're forgetting about, Aleem McNeil. And that's why we really focused on our defense so far in this video. Is like,
Yeah.
Aleem McNeil, Hutch, CJ Gardner Johnson. That maybe was a rust game last week. What if he can really just remember who he is, right? Just like we got to remember who he is. Iffy Melifonwu's playing strong. And then I feel better about our defense than most people. I'm higher on our defense than most people. And I look at their offense.
You're higher on our defense than I am.
Yeah. And I think because I think we look at their offense, I get it. Stafford, Cooper, Kupp. I get their offense, but I just think it's not far and away better than our defense, where we are just going to get just train wrecked. I mean, obviously I hope that we don't win if that happens, but I think our secondary can match up better than we think, and our pass rush can get there better than we think.
Yeah. And Cooper Kupp isn't, I'm afraid to say this, right? Cooper Kupp isn't what he was last year.
No.
He's hobbled a little bit, and that's why Nakua's continued to be really, really good. I think the important thing for me on this is with Puka Nacua, like you need to wrap that dude up right away. Otherwise, he's a big play waiting to happen. He is. I do kind of like the game within the game. Puka Nacua getting the Pro Bowl nod over St. Brown, and then St. Brown being upset about it. Like you could tell last week against the Vikings, St. Brown had a little extra juice, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
Going up against Jefferson.
Dude.
Like
and
I love that guy. I love that guy.
St. Brown. And so yeah, we flipped to our offense. Think of this. We flipped to our offense. And I did a video on this. Just go down the line, right? Without even just eye test. You just look at, okay, their defensive line. Aaron Donald, I mean, he's older, still is a stud, but I love our offensive line. Are you kidding me? You look at their secondary. Nobody scares me in their secondary. Look at our wide receivers. And then their linebackers. I mean, we got a two-headed monster at running back. And then Goff at home. The crowd is just going to be quiet as a whisper. And he's just going to be able to just audible. I mean, it's just going to be a controlled environment when we're on offense, and an absolute nut show when they're on offense. That's just got to play a factor. I mean, I just can't wait for this game, man.
Can we play a little game called What's His First Name? Right? Like this is a bunch of guys for LA. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not watching LA all the time, but you have Aaron Donald, and then you have Young. What's his first name? Anybody? What about Williams? What about Brown the Third? What about Hocht? I think that's how you pronounce it. Michael Hocht. That's the rest of the guys that are playing on the line. And Brown has a PFF grade of 72. Nobody else is above 63. Like there's just not a lot going on if it's not Aaron Donald. And Aaron Donald this year is still the number 2 defensive tackle. All right. He's still doing everything that Aaron Donald does with 10 sacks and all that kind of stuff. But again, he's 32 years old. I don't think he is quite the same. And he's going to be going up against Ragnow and Glasgow.
Oh,
all right.
Absolutely.
And Jackson. Jackson.
And another thing that is getting overblown is everyone's talking about the Rams, their record in the last 8 games, 7-1 or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it is,
like
but
5-1 in the last 6 or something.
Yeah. Take a look at this. You go back to October 29th. They get smoked by the Cowboys, smoked by the Packers.
Before the Packers were really good, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And then they beat the Seahawks barely, fine. Seahawks end up being just not good. They don't make the playoffs.
At home too, by the way.
Yep, they've got the Cardinals number. They beat the Cardinals twice. Give me a break.
That was pre-Kyler, right?
Yep. That
Yeah.
I believe it was. And then
Not for a fact, but yeah, okay.
yep. I'll give them these two games right here. I give you that. That's an impressive win over the Browns and to hang in there with the Ravens. And then Commanders.
By the way, that Browns game was the first Joe Flacco game.
Mm-hmm. First Joe Flacco game. Commanders and Saints. Come on, give me a break. Giants, give me a break. Niners didn't have their starters. So it's you nailed it. You've got Matthew Stafford and a bunch of just young guys. They've been able to congratulations. I mean, seriously, like I'm half being sarcastic, but I guess like congrats. You won and you got yourself into the playoffs. But what a difference between when you look at our roster. Our roster's better. We're at home. It would just take a lot, I think. We are going to be hard to beat. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah, we're going to be hard to beat at home. And you can sit here and you can talk about the defense all you want. But there's a 12th player playing defense in Ford Field tomorrow night. All right. And that is this crowd, which is going to go absolutely berserk. And our two defenses, by the way, are very similar. We have the 23rd ranked defense in points allowed, 18th via PFF. The Rams have the 19th ranked defense in points allowed, 23rd in PFF. So, like, it's a very similar defense. And I think the home field advantage gives us the advantage over it. I think our offense can consistently score more than their offense because our defense is going to cause some problems, or our home field advantage is going to cause some problems. It better. That's why you go for home field.
I would just be stunned if it doesn't, right? Like, come on. I would be shocked.
You try and find tickets yet?
If it wouldn't. And you just look at, that's why I keep saying one mistake would send the crowd into just because they're waiting, right? They're cheering. They want that. What's it going to like? And it can be so many things. That's what's so cool about it. You know, a bad snap. Stafford's not ready for the snap. I mean, we'll go nuts. So, man, it's just going to be, it's going to be, it reminds me of the game we played against the Broncos, where once we kind of get going and it just loosens up and it's like, all right, yeah, we're better. Like we are good. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Offensively, we're good. And we know our offense has to carry us. And if they do, then I think the defense is good enough with the crowd would be all right.
Yeah. And as good as the Rams have been, they've scored 404 points this year. We've scored 461. And that's with a couple of clinkers. And those clinkers haven't been indoors. Those clinkers have not been at home. And so, like, when we get to see this stuff, it's like, all right, let's go. I really do believe that it's a decent matchup. I don't love the star power that they have, you know, the whole Stafford and Cup, and you can put Nakua in there and Donald, right? But then I stop and I have to think to myself, like, well, I don't like their star power, but we have star power. Like
star power. I mean,
can I say St. Brown? Can I say Goff, who's put up better numbers than Stafford this year? Can I say Laporta if he's going to play? Can I say Sewell? Can I say Ragnow? Can I say Hutch? Like, all these guys have star power as well. Even more of them.
And I love what Sean had to say here. If we run the ball, we win, period. And I think that's so true. Like, you can talk about all these things, but at the end of the day, and we saw it with Michigan football, like the prime example, like the quintessential example of football to a T. If you can run the football, you win. Like, it's so crazy to me how as the game evolves, it really comes back down to, man, if you are consistent with and stay with the run and pop a few and stay on schedule, man. And that's what you just nailed it. You nailed all of our linemen. It's going to be hard for them to stop the run if we stick with it and pop a couple.
Yeah, and I would love to see Jahmyr Gibbs have a big one here. What do you think about this one? Love this, right? Like, Khalif Raymond has been good for us. Very good. Donovan Peoples-Jones is not a poor punt returner in any respect. Crazy that we had him. That was the smart move. Didn't you do a video on this today?
Yeah.
About Donovan Peoples-Jones. Like, just what a pickup. Like, he's going to be able to help fill the void because we only have 2 tight ends on the roster for this game, maybe 3 if Laporta plays. He's going to help be able to fill some of that void. He's going to be able to do punt returns. It's just super, super impressive. Like,
Yeah.
thank you, Brad Holmes.
I did a video on this because he did have a punt return. I think it was last year. He had a 75-yard punt return. And I asked this, Craig, and this, I'd love to know your thoughts. This is going to be a community post for tomorrow. That little sneak peek, little
sneak peek. Make sure all of you go answer it though.
Go answer this tomorrow. What would make the Detroit Lions crowd go the craziest? Okay.
All right, I'm ready.
A pick 6 by CJ Gardner-Johnson. I mean, he would take his helmet off and throw it into the stands and never play with it again. An Aiden Hutchinson scoop and score.
A scoop and score.
Can you imagine? I mean,
he gets the sack too. It's a strip sack, scoop and score.
I should have said
all that. Him.
A Jahmyr Gibbs 80-yard touchdown run.
Okay.
Or a Jameson 80-yard touchdown catch.
Yeah, I think it's the pick 6, man.
Oh yeah.
I think either defensive one takes the cake, right? Because then it's like a potential 14-point swing.
Yep.
But
yeah.
Outside, I will say outside chance of the JMO touchdown too. Because that just opens up the defense and people know it. Like all of a sudden it's just like, oh, you guys are screwed. You got no chance. Because we just took the top off the defense.
Oh no, you read it like because the defensive touchdown would be like specifically against Stafford, so that would make the crowd just go nuts. But a Jameson, just because it feels like Jameson has yet to have that one just like holy moment, right? Where it's just he's had a 2 long balls. I want to say one at Tampa, one at Dallas, where it's like, all right, but just where he catches it and has a chance to open it up. He has yet to have just a chance to have a little bit of open field to let him just open his stride up. And if he did that, man, that's what everyone wants to. So yeah, you nailed it. I love it.
I love it. I mean, I could, can we wish it into existence here? Is that a thing? I don't think so. But like manifest it? No, that's not real. But I do think everybody just wants Jameson Williams to be the next great thing for the Lions. Like, I feel like everybody thinks like that's the one thing we're missing. Like, we don't want to go spend all of our free agency money on a wide receiver opposite St. Brown. Like, just let him be here, right? Let him already be here. And I think that's what everybody is hoping for. And as we get closer and closer to the offseason, my brain starts clicking with salary cap implications, my nerd brain. And it's just so exciting to see, like, what can we do? Do we restructure Goff's contract and put a crap ton of money on next year? And like, so that we can keep the cap low for years following that when we have to pay everybody. It just gets really exciting. But there is so much talent on this team. Like, and that's the thing. Like, everybody talks about how the Lions are finally here. Like, I just saw the Texans destroy the Browns. Like, they just absolutely murdered the Browns. And everybody's like, oh, the Texans have nothing to play for. They're just playing with house money because nobody expected them to be there. Right. And, there's these different playoffs teams. And even people are saying that about the Rams. I don't buy that. I think the Lions are playing with house money. Like, I think, and I don't mean because nobody expected them to be there. We expected them to be there. I think what I'm saying is we are almost playing with house money because we know this is only the beginning. It's not like this team's going to be worse next year when we have even more draft picks, when we have a bunch of money to spend in the offseason. This team isn't getting worse. It's only getting deeper. It's only getting better. So this team can play free because it's not like, oh, this is our only opportunity. This is our only shot. We have to win a playoff game right now.
I agree. I know everyone probably thinks that, right? Every team that's always in this position, like, we're so good. No, but this is different because you got like Hutchinson would be in year 3 next year. You can tell me he's going to get worse next year. And there's a bunch of those types of guys. Pascal is going to get worse. Or Brad Holmes isn't going to draft
Sewell?
Anybody. Yeah, Sewell's going to get worse.
Like,
Brad Holmes isn't going to find anybody. There's no free agents that want to come here. So you're exactly right. I think they can play loose. And by the way, back to CJ Gardner-Johnson. Have you caught any of his interviews at all over the week? And just there's a couple of them. One, he was
like this week or last week?
this week, right? This week, the last couple days. The one that I'm specifically talking about is he was asked, "Hey, is this why the Lions brought you here to get to the playoffs?" And he said, "They didn't bring me here to get the playoffs. They brought me here to win the Super Bowl." And then he's like dead serious, and he's like, "Hey," he's got like 19 different sound bites that are just incredible. He's got his shirt off. He's just putting on he puts on a chain while he's talking, and
Of course.
then he keeps answering it, grabs another one. Then he keeps talking, grabs another one. It's just got I'm exaggerating, but it just feels like he's got 8 chains. My point about this is one of the other things that he said, and this is where I was going, is he was just talking about how these guys are preparing, they're loose, they're ready. The young guys are ready. The vet guys are excited. Like there's just this feels so much different. I was going to ask you this. I'm going all over the place here, but I was going to ask you 2016, we went into the playoffs, 2011, 2014. I don't even remember those. I don't even remember being nervous for those because it was just kind of like, all right, we're in as a wild card. Like, I don't even know. This feels so much different, so much more exciting. How do you compare those Stafford playoff years? I shouldn't say, but you know what I mean, to this? Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it doesn't compare, right? What was it? 11, 14, 16, something like that.
Yeah.
And I think the answer to your question is a question. Did you ever believe we were going to win one of those games?
No, not remotely.
Did you think we were going to beat the Saints? Did you think we were going to beat the Cowboys? Like, did you think? And the year we had the good defense, I felt better that year because I'm just like, this offense can't continue to be stagnant, right? There's too much talent on the offense to be stagnant, but they did. They continued to be stagnant. No, I feel better this year because even if we lose, I think about this. Even if we lose this game, this is the second best season in Detroit Lions history in the modern era. Like, even if we lose, because it's a 12-win season. Yep. It's a 12-win season, and we made the playoffs. That talks part that talks to the quality of the franchise in the past. Dude. But which is rough, but we don't need to go there. This team doesn't care about any of that. That's what I love about this team. They don't care about the past because they've overcome everything from the past. It's unbelievable.
Yep. You nailed it. Everything from the past, and you're exactly right. This is the last step, and I'm blown away. And it's so fun, man, just to know that we're gonna be good. That we were all past it now because we didn't know coming this year we could be good. It's official. Like Dan Campbell knows what he's doing. Brad Holmes knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Goff's good. St. Brown's great. Like St. Brown, that's another one. You think he's going to get worse next year?
No.
And not work out in the offseason? You think he's going to
make only had 119 catches this year, and he missed a game.
Dude.
Like, it's unbelievable what this guy is continuing to do. All right. So I thought this is a good question. I want to ask you this real quick before we get out of here. Yep. What's the thoughts on the coordinators possibly wanting to leave? Think the team could be the same without them? Our coordinators, especially knowing that a bunch of teams are filling positions right now.
Yeah. So take Ben Johnson. That's the most obvious. We can see the plays on the field. It won't be the same, but it will be differently good. And what I mean by that is Dan Campbell is innovative, and he's the one that's really driving that innovation and the aggressiveness. So
there you go.
It'll look different. Just, I don't know exactly how, but it doesn't concern me. It really doesn't. I don't know who would fill in or all that, who they'd hire, but that's my take on it. It would definitely look different, but don't let that scare you. It's still innovative. It's still going to be forefront of NFL stuff, and Goff can run anything.
Yeah, I think I have kind of two takes on it. I think it would be a 50-50 split right down the middle of people who would be happy or sad if Aaron Glenn was gone. Like, I really do believe that to be true. I'm not saying that that's necessarily the right way to feel, but I think that'd be a split. And nobody wants Ben Johnson to go. Nobody wants Ben Johnson to go. And so I think we still can be fine because I think this is Dan Campbell's offense. I really do.
Mhm.
Like, we keep forgetting that he's the one who called the plays the last half of that first year when Goff actually started to do some things. And yes, Ben Johnson was the passing game coordinator, and Lynn was the running game coordinator, and he was taking plays from them and calling. But he can do something similar to that the next time as well. Like, this still stays in the confines of Dan Campbell. I think
Yeah.
so many people struggle with Campbell or thought he wasn't going to be a good coach because they felt like he couldn't be an offense or defensive coordinator type guy.
Right.
And I think the truth is he's been on enough offenses. He's been with such great minds. He has a phenomenal offensive mind. People just don't realize it. That's the key.
Absolutely.
That's the secret to Dan Campbell's success.
Just 2 more minutes here. I wanted to show you a couple things. So this
Sure.
was from Pride of Detroit. They're asking who's going to be kind of the X factor and who can you look for? So we've got, of course, Brian Branch, Aiden Hutchinson, Goff, of course. That's almost too easy. But dude, Gibbs, we forget about him. We just forget about him. Your thoughts on Gibbs? Just when, man, he's got that pop. When really Montgomery's fast too. But talk about Gibbs for a second on just what he could provide if he could break loose.
Yeah, Gibbs is a different level. Gibbs is that Chris Johnson kind of speed, if you remember him, right? That Jamal Charles type of speed. And like it's just different. That track speed in a running back. And when you combine that with the power that he has, it's unbelievable. I think he absolutely can be a difference maker in this. And I would love to see him bust off a couple of big runs, pass plays. I think we were really conservative with our play calls against the Vikings. And I think that Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell have a little something up their sleeve. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them try and utilize J-Mo and Gibbs and their speed and do everything they can to get those guys 3-4 opportunities out in the open field with the ability to do some stuff.
100%. Love it. Brian Branch.
What about the defensive side, man? What do you think is the difference maker on the defensive side for us?
Yeah, I would love to see Jack Campbell really keep playing well. The guy is I can't tell if he's playing well. He plays so hard that you're like, great, man, awesome. Now I'd take him every single day over Barnes. But I also, he's somewhat late to the ball sometimes, but he tackles really hard and he, so it's like you want to be like, dude, I love this guy, but it's like, I don't think you read that right or something, so I think Jack Campbell's a guy that I would love to just, man, play your game. Anzalone's just, he is who he is. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just, but Campbell for me is a guy that I'm just kind of looking at here that would love to shine. How about you on the defense?
Well, I will back up what you're saying about Campbell, and you're asking the question based on PFF. His last 7 games have been a lot better than his first 10. So he's getting better. He's not having those just atrocious stinker of a games. In other words, he's not being as much of a rookie, if that makes sense. My guy on the defensive side of the ball is interesting because as I look at the Rams and I look at their wide receivers, you got Robinson, you got Kupp, you got Nakua. There's some speed there. There's some unique things that they can do. I look at the second, third, and fourth guys that are going to be covering them. So my thing is either going to be a Brian Branch or a Kendall Vildor. Like, what can Vildor do opposite of of Sutton? Like, that's the one for me that it's just like, I worry about some of the speed and the twitchiness of like a Robinson. What are we going to do with it? And so I will admit, I get a little nervous with some of that on our defense. But so I guess Campbell, once again, is another one of the guys. I have to agree with you because he can be blitzing and cutting down the amount of time that Stafford has to throw.
Yeah. And Vildor is not a star. He is, oh boy. I mean, we picked him up off the street and now he's your number 2. And oddly enough, he's been better than Jerry Jacobs, which is weird, but he's still not a starting safe or corner really. So no. I don't know. And you're going to tell me that Sean McVay is watching film and doesn't notice that and they're not planning to attack Vildor.
I'm telling you, if I'm Sean McVay, I'm going DeMarcus Robinson and Tutu Atwell in this game. And I'm throwing to him a lot because I think there's certain things we can do to stop Puka, even Cooper, by, bracketing, things like that. But I don't like Demarcus Robinson and Tutu Atwell, the speed that they have, that's not a great matchup for us unless Branch is on them. I mean, it's foot speed can be a struggle for us at times in the secondary.
And you nailed it. Branch, I trust you. I even trust Sutton to a degree. I
To an
mean, I just
extent. Yep.
yeah, like I trust you. You're gonna be there. But like Vildor can just give up a big play. We saw that a couple weeks ago. So yeah, this is gonna be I still seriously feel really good about the Lions, but just nervous as can be. Which is
It's going to be a
funny 'cause
long day tomorrow, isn't it? Like,
it's
how are
gonna
we
be a
what are
long
we
day.
going to do to stay entertained all day?
I don't know, but if you're anybody that's watching, if you're a Michigan fan, you can kind of relate to this. I really wasn't nervous for Michigan until about halftime of the actual game. Like leading up to it, it's like just I don't know. This is just kind of cool. This is great, national championship. But this feels so much different, just to the weight of the whole history of it all is already getting to us.
It's almost like we have a channel about it too.
Ooh.
Oh
my God.
It has been, no matter what, to the 130 plus people that are watching live with us right now, it's been a fun year. No matter what happens, it's been a fun year. I've enjoyed having like these times going live after games. Like, no matter what happens, we will be back on Monday, maybe even Sunday after the game, right? But we will be back making videos, whether we're saying goodbye to a wonderful season or whether we're getting excited for the next game, whether that be in Dallas or at home.
Oh, at Dallas or at home. Either way, feel great about that. That's the thing. Don't want to look ahead. Okay.
I feel good about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Well, thanks for joining. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And we're out for now, and let's go. Go Lions.
Go Lions.
See ya.